Good evening, Mrs. Zephanie.
Good evening, Alvin. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, so I was just telling the viewers that they can leave the questions below and giving them a brief of what we'll be discussing today. We'll mainly be
Yes.
talking about the Rwandan job market and the opportunities available for the globally educated students. As you know, we work with a couple of partners, say the UNL scholars, CAS scholars, Bridge to Rwanda, and Gashora Girls. UNL, that's University of Nebraska Lincoln. Yes. So I think we should just dive right into it. First off, we can see that the COVID has just, even with this interview itself, it has impacted it. We can see that looks like a home setting. I remember you telling us that you're currently working from home. Maybe if you could just give us a brief of how it has impacted your work life so far.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here and to connect with Rwanda scholars and everyone else who has decided to join this live conversation. As you mentioned, definitely the COVID-19 has changed the way people have been working. Everyone has been using internet and other technology solutions. But with this COVID-19, even the ones who
Yes.
are not using those solutions, they had no option than using them. So to come back to your question, how is this situation affecting the work? Definitely the major aspects that came into play was the social distancing. So you do the work, but you make sure that you are not having that physical interaction with the colleagues or clients or stakeholders.
Yes.
So that has definitely shifted most of the work to be done not only from home, but also to leverage all the technological devices to be able to work with our teams and to serve our clients. So same with the rest of government and private sector members, in line with the guidelines that the government of Rwanda provided, we have been working
Yes.
from home. There are mainly, as we speak, I would say 3 sectors where you have majority of those people involved not necessarily working from home because they are actually at the front line of fighting this COVID-19. You're basically talking about healthcare professionals. You're talking about those who are involved in serving or making sure that people eat. Those who are involved in some financial services. So those who are only providing basic services. So same with the rest others who are also working from, as you rightly mentioned, and we've been definitely leveraging technological devices, the likes of WebEx, Skype, and more other solutions to not only carry meetings, but also to make sure that we respond to some of the questions from our clients. Moreover, we have also, as we used to be, we have been providing, online services to our clients as the Rwanda Development
Yes.
Board. There are quite a number of services that we provide online. For example, if you want to, register a company, you don't need to come to the LDB physically. This is something that you can do online. So, I would say that those services were not interrupted by the current lockdown because they were already digitalized. You're talking
True.
about
True.
registration of, mortgage. If you wanted to do this was done online. So our staff would interact with the banks and other financial institutions using technological devices. So these services are also working. So majority of our service, even those that were not online, we have made sure that we also work quickly to respond to the needs and also be prepared and ensure that the whole of this situation doesn't affect the work. So really, the work is still going on. I think some segment of economy actually either working with the same speed or even higher.
Yes.
We're doing our best to keep serving the people of Rwanda and also the investors from different corners of the world, but also working on providing solutions that are needed now as we speak. Some of the things that are that are needed the most includes the personal protective equipment. So in addition to working with other stakeholders to make sure that we have the investors in the foreign market providing these equipments that are needed. So we're basically talking about masks, you're talking about coveralls, you're talking about gowns that medical doctors need. So we've also been working on making sure that we source, those that are needed to respond to the current status. So that's the release. I'm not sure if you have a follow-up question, but that's the session is as we speak.
Yes, my follow-up question would be in terms of the general job market. Speaking for the bridge, we are currently now facing a problem of a halt or a slowdown in employers recruiting as some of our candidates. So how bad do you think this is going to affect the Rwandan job market? And what are some of the ways do you think that we could bounce back after this?
That's a good question. The lockdown is affecting the market, the job market. If you look at the sectors that have been affected seriously, not only in Rwanda but also all over the world, is everything to do with the tourism and the travels. So if you talk of tourism, one of the measures that countries have been putting in place included suspension of their national airlines, saying we're not going to allow our airline to fly again. We won't allow any other airline to fly in, because that was one of the measures that was going to help in terms of curbing the spread of COVID-19. So one of the sectors that are hit the most, or that is affected the most, is tourism. Some of the hotels definitely don't have guests, completely. And so some of them have decided to ask their staff members to go on leave. So that's one segment of the economy that is being affected. Moreover, if you also look at other sectors, even some manufacturing sectors also, because of the social distancing aspect, this is also one of the other sectors that has been affected. So the implication has been a slowdown in terms of employments, in terms of the employers giving job offers to job seekers, or even taking on internships, or even those who were recruiting, majority of them had to put the process on hold. So that was one of the major implications. And then, but also on the other side, you have other sectors that picked up from this particular crisis. If you look at the sectors that have been doing e-commerce, those sectors are now chopping good money. Those have been doing things like home delivery. Companies that have been providing digital solutions, all of these are, chopping good money. If you look at the companies that were involved in agro-processing, people will never stop eating. Even if we stay or work from home, we'll keep eating. So these sectors, they still, some of them have kept expanding on their capabilities to be able to meet the demand that has been growing. So to come back to your question, definitely the job market is being affected. Some of the statistics that we had, if you look at our tourism sector, for example, this is a sector that has been employing around 150,000 people. That's like directly, that's you're counting those working in hotels, you're talking those working with travel and tour companies. And then if you look to across the entire value chain, you already have a lot of people also who are working there. So this is one of the sectors that we are hit the most. And then for the public sector, as I mentioned, we keep working, but of course, across the different sectors of the economy, there have been not only some of the companies shutting down completely, but also others putting a hold on recruitment. So you can really, I can call it a recession, as the International Monetary Fund actually confirmed. This is a serious recession that countries have to work hard to recover from.
True, thanks a lot. wanted to fast forward to the next topic, which is just being optimistic. Huh? So we fast forward to a time early next year, when the economy recovered from all this. What are the job prospects and opportunities available in Rwanda that you think that we have?
If I would start with what is going on, already Rwanda is the country where technology, information communication technology has been advancing, the most. If you look
Yes.
at the level of penetration, if you look at, the ability of to use technology device and also leveraging or tapping into technology solutions. If you talk of the recovery, the jobs definitely that will keep growing and employing more people. You would start with even the ones that are more active now. So you're basically talking about professional services. That's where so these people who have been providing, either IT services to companies, even if you talk of finance, but being able to provide these services to companies, not necessarily physically, but also being able to do that remotely. And then if you go to the second level, you are looking at the projects that are in the pipeline that will resume. So
Yes.
definitely, as all of us know, we are still in the middle of the crisis. We can talk of recovery, we can talk of stimulus measures that countries may roll out, but the crisis is still going on. Some of the countries, as you have seen around the world, have been either extending lockdown periods or opening up, but putting in place strict measures to ensure that
Curfews.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we're projecting also, once the situation comes to normal, there are definitely the services that are currently operating, and we'll have also new jobs that will be coming to the market. I talked about professional services, but also even other big projects that are going on. As we speak, you might have heard, for example, that the country is currently constructing an international airport in Abuja. This is an airport that is going to be opened in 2022. So you can imagine the number of jobs that will be created around an airport that will have a capacity to start with of 7 million passengers. You see, so you're talking about people who will be providing not only IT solutions to the users at the airports, but also those who will be serving across different value chain. You're talking about agriculture, you're talking about local manufacturing, you're talking about finance, accounting services. So this is one of the areas that will be creating more jobs. Moreover, as you rightly know, or probably if not, I'm putting it out, with the national strategy for transformation that the government of Rwanda is implementing, our target is at least every year to create around 214,000 jobs. So the idea is by the end of 2024, where we'll be in the end of that national strategy for transformation, we are like, can we create 1,500,000 jobs? Because we are using it to even take off. We've started the implementation of Vision 2050, where we want to become a higher income country, with a GDP per capita being around 12,000 USD. And in the medium term, we are also saying by 2035, at least each Rwandan would be living on a GDP per capita of 4,000 US dollars. So if you look at this, we've been rolling out really major projects which have been creating jobs. So if we talk of the recovery, if we talk about the business becoming to usual way, you're really talking about all of these projects that I've been talking about, which we are put on hold a little bit to resume activities. I talked about the airports, but we also have, for example, the Rwanda Innovation City that is being created. This is it's located in the Kigali Special Economic Zone. The idea is to create a city where you're going to have an ecosystem bringing together those doing research, entrepreneurs, also having access to the financing solutions that match their needs or their investment needs. So we have the Kigali Innovation City, which has actually started attracting quite a number of tenants as we speak. We have a Carnegie Mellon University there. We have Africa Leadership University that is constructing campus there. It's going to also attract several other investors, and we expect all of these new entrepreneurs to provide more jobs. So you have really jobs across different sectors, including professional services, all of these jobs that are around the STEM, these sciences, technology, engineering jobs. We're talking, if you talk about airports, you know, you need engineers, and you also talk about mathematicians. That's where the aspects of big data come in. You know, we've been doing all of this. The government has been doing all of these investments in ICT to make sure that you know, the economy can start leveraging this. So we're going to have really a lot of jobs. There are some that are being created. But if you look broadly, those are some of the categories that I see more of these jobs coming from.
Actually, my next question was going to be a follow-up on the opportunities, but you've really given it in detail about how we have quite a number of opportunities available. Because the Bridge Career Services mainly wants to attract globally educated students to come back to Rwanda and build the country. We got the honor to be part of the Rwanda Day last year. We were part of the Career Corner. And then also we noticed that the RDB is also doing work in trying to attract diaspora or the globally educated students back here with, for example, the Cora job portal. I was going to maybe just shoot a question on the Cora job portal in terms of how it's functioning so far, if it's doing well for RDB so far.
Yeah, true. We have a number of initiatives that help us to not only to make sure that the investors that we attract have the right skills, but also making sure that we, you know, we deliver on the national targets of making sure that we create jobs for, you know, Rwandans, and also we attract, you know, different talents, not only Rwandans studying abroad, but also, you know, other international professionals who would want to come to work in Rwanda. We've got several initiatives. One of them is Cora as a job portal, as you mentioned, where students get, you know, come or graduates and you know, have opportunity to put in their profile, see the opportunities that are there. The idea is to be able to link them with job providers. So we mainly, Cora is more of a tool, but also even beyond that particular tool, we foster partnerships with the likes of Bridge to Rwanda, you know, for example, Career Services Bridge to Rwanda. We also work with the other government institutions and private sector companies. For example, when it comes to tapping into the audience in the diaspora, we work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. When it comes to making sure that we also have the, you know, latest database of students graduating, we work closely with the Ministry of Education. And then we also keep fostering partnership with the public and private agencies, so that they can really be taking on some of the graduates who would want to carry out, you know, internships. So what we really do is we provide some stipends to the interns. If we have a partnership, you know, a specific institution, be it private or public, they tell us we probably need 10 interns with this qualification. By qualification, I mean the area of concentration. Are we talking about those who did engineering or mechanical engineering, computer sciences? Are we talking about those who did, I don't know, statistics, actuarials? So they tell us what they need, then we tap into those database that we are talking about, and we say, we call up on those interns, we place them, we follow up on them, we provide some facilitation in terms of transport so that they can really get used to work when they have that proper transition between the formal education and the job market. And it's actually, we've actually even started even fostering partnership with international partners. For example, now we have an MOU with LinkedIn, where we have been leveraging some of the, you know, engines, search engines, to ensure that we know what are the talents that are out there. and then also make sure that some of we are still in the pilot phase, but the idea is to ensure that as we move forward, we're going to have a lot of employers from Rwanda being able to tap or to even send a message or see if we have a certain number of skills out there, because they can tap into those advanced search engine of LinkedIn. So Sequoia has been working, same as, for example, the internship database, but our main objective is really to foster partnership with partners like Bridge to Rwanda, partners like Bridging, LinkedIn, private sector companies, so that we can keep on expanding on our capabilities of providing more internships to the young graduates.
That was very great. And see, in terms of creating opportunities and basically making partnerships, which was actually bringing me to my next question of how can the diaspora or the educated students play a role in Rwanda's development? How do you think that can happen?
Going to study abroad is, something, good, depending definitely the country that you're in. In some cases, you can go in a country that has probably advanced education system compared to where you're coming from. You can go in a country where they have a low education system. But the key thing is, when you come back, when you go there, you learn new things. The curriculum might be the same. I might go there and all of us study, computer engineering. We can go and all of us, exactly, we can go and do computer sciences, networking, we can do finance, we can do physics. But the key thing is beyond the academic experience or knowledge that you get, there is also the network that you tap into. If you are, let's say you are in the United States or UK, you probably in your class you go like, I don't know, 100 nationalities or 50 nationalities. So that's really like, if you come back to your home country and you start up a firm, you have an opportunity of leveraging or forming partnerships with people from 50 countries. You see what I mean? So if you are to expand your company, it's going to be pretty much, easy in terms of getting contacts in foreign markets where you would be able to expand the market. So going to study abroad, there is that aspect of being able to create the network. That's even why, if you look at the education system in Rwanda as well, you have a lot of international students coming in and international universities coming in. We talked about Carnegie Mellon University. We were talking about Africa Institute of Mathematical Sciences. You're talking about Africa Leadership University. You're talking about University of Rwanda and other private universities. They have students from different parts of the world. So if you start abroad, really, one of the key things that you tap into, in addition to the quality or to the education system in that particular country, you also have an opportunity to tap into that particular network. So when you come back and establish your company, it becomes easier to not only expand if you have to, and also when you are in that particular class, because of the diversity of the students, you can also tap into other experience from their countries. So coming back to a question, how can the diaspora come back and contribute to the development of their country? Look, we have all of these platforms that we've been talking about. We have stakeholders like Bridge to Rwanda. You've been in contact with so many scholars. We leverage, your services in terms of, even understanding who is graduating, what are the skills that are there, so that they can come and bridge the gap in terms of the skills that we need as an economy. That's number one. Number two, there is also, technology transfer. You might go and study in a country where they have an advanced technology, which is not in your home country. So when you come back, you bring that technology. And if you're able to foster partnership with a foreign company, as I mentioned, it's going to be an opportunity of also bringing those additional technology in your home country. And then number three, it's also contributing to the development of your nation. We talked about all of these projects. We talked about airports. We talked about the innovation city. You want to be part of that development story. It's actually an opportunity to come and say, I was probably part of the team that worked on the innovation city. I was part of the team that worked on increasing the livelihood of Rwandan. So there are all of those gains at individual level, at corporate level, but there's also that aspect of saying it's my motherland, it's my homeland. I'm also contributing to the development of my country.
True, true. And Rwanda is a booming economy. Everyone should be part of this right now. I just wanted to briefly talk to the people who are watching in. Please leave your comments. We shall get through to you shortly. Mr. Zephanie, I wanted just to talk about you personally, your career so far. We know that prior to this, you were working with USAID East Africa Trade and Investment Hub. Did you always see yourself working in government?
I think I had always thought of becoming an entrepreneur, and also working with the government. I work with entrepreneurs, and I'm still an entrepreneur actually. But if you ask me, and I take a step back, I'm now 34. If I take a step back and look at where I was 15 years ago, I started my own company when I was 19. When I was 19, that's when I established my first company. I was providing some, computer services, doing some data entry, doing some training. And I remember that company had 2 employees. Then when I went to university, I kept working on some, I was doing economics, but also I was more interested in technology. So I had always thought of becoming, someone who owns a big company in the private sector, not necessarily working for the government. So, but of course, as you mentioned, prior to joining the government, the USAID Trade and Investment Hub, where we are mainly doing facilitating companies to raise some financing and also to export in different markets in the US and Europe. And prior to that, I was doing some strategy consulting, and way in the past, I also worked with the RDB as a strategy expert. But to come back to your point, I didn't know that I would be working with the government, but when this opportunity came up, given that I had actually worked with the government before, it was actually fitting into what I wanted to do. I've been working with entrepreneurs. I also I was running some of my companies as well. And now I'm working with entrepreneurs. So it's really working with the public sector, but I found myself actually more of, in between, working with the private sector to help the government, or to work in a partnership with the government to foster, the development of people. So I was not seeing myself working with the government directly, but I'm so proud that, finally, I'm back, and I'm now, working with people like you, connecting with the scholars out there, talking about my experience, sharing, listening to them, and really being able, all of us, to bring our collective efforts to develop our country.
True, thanks. My next question was like talking back on how we mainly work with students who have studied abroad and also part of the diaspora. We noticed that you also studied abroad. Are there any factors that really brought you back? You've already mentioned a couple of your established businesses already. Were you just coming back, say, to continue with the business, or there were other factors concerned that really brought you back?
True. I think I was born and raised here, but I would say I've been a citizen of the world. As you mentioned, I did part of my education in different parts of the world. There is the SOAS. I also did another executive program in Sweden in private sector development. I did other aspects to do with development of special economic zones at the Jiangxi College of Foreign Studies in China. I've also continued, studying. I keep myself informed not only by reading, but also making sure that we keep developing solutions that are aligned to the current development, the state of development affairs, or whatever that is going on globally. So the question is, why work in Rwanda and not in the other countries? I've worked in other countries.
What really brought you back?
I did work in West Africa. But there is really one thing which, to me, is special about Rwanda. You know, I think with Rwanda, which I think majority of the people following this conversation will also might be want to be proud of. You know, if you look at what the economy, how the economy has been growing, if you look at how people, you know, have been lifted out of poverty, if you look at the speed of development that is happening, you really want to be part of this story. You want to, you know, sit somewhere 30 years from now and say, actually, you know, I was part of the team that also gave a certain contribution to the development that we're seeing today. So I felt like, you know, I had also to give my contribution. That's number one. And then number two, also, if I look at the speed of delivery of the government of Rwanda, it's really high, you know. You ask yourself, am I working actually for government, or am I working in the private sector? You know, we talked about working from home, but it's, you know, it's call after call. You know, you have tight deadlines to meet. You have, you know, strict performance targets to achieve. So there is really that aspect of saying, you know, I had worked in Benin, in Cote d'Ivoire. We did few work in the US, in Costa Rica. So I'm like, if you I combine all of this experience, and also I come back, I learn from, you know, the top leaders of this country, see how they are really challenging the statistical and implementing unconventional policies. I think if I come and be part of this story, that will be a great opportunity. And then I was, you know, I was given that opportunity, and I'm doing my best to make sure that that trust that was, you know, entrusted in me is, you know, I make it valid, and I prove that, you know, it's something that I'm thankful for.
That's really interesting, Zephanie. Yeah, we have come to the last bit. So the last question was, what advice would you give university students and graduates who are looking to launch their careers back home? Maybe what practical steps can they be taking today in order to meet that?
I think one of the major things that I know some of the schools have got these programs, but one of the key things that a student always need to do is to always make sure that they connect not only the academic world, but also they connect the academic world with the job market or the rest of the world. So it's not really about going into the books and do the analysis or do experiments. It comes back also to making sure that you understand what is going on. So what are some of the practical steps? I think the first thing, definitely, if someone is following this conversation already, this is one of the steps. You need to be in touch with the likes of Bridge to Rwanda. You need to make sure that you are in this database of the likes of Quora Portal. You need to make sure that you know, you keep reading to understand where the opportunities are. And also, if there are these kind of career conversations going on, you join in, so that, you know, for example, I'm talking about the airport, I'm talking about the Kigali Innovation City, the other projects going on. So if you want to launch your career really back home, some of the easiest way, you know, is even when you come through either the internship or you share your CVs through the platform or that I mentioned, at giving an opportunity to graduates to have a practical experience. So what we have really been doing is working closely with host institutions to make sure that these interns have clear job descriptions, they get feedback, they get trained. We follow up with these host institutions to make sure that we have, you know, progress reports telling us how, you know, they are doing. So the first really level of incentive is making sure that the practical training of the interns happen. That's number one. The second level of incentive is related to some facilitation. You know, if you're going for an internship, you know, you just graduated, you probably don't have transport. So the second level of facilitation that we do is really providing some stipend so that they can use this as part of the transport. There's what we provide as government, but also some host institutions, in some cases, we go an extra mile and add on that. So they do some top up. But the first really level that I mentioned is what I just wanted to reiterate here. The first really thing is for the interns to, look for this internship as an opportunity for them to gain professional experience, because if you look into the numbers, we realized that majority of the people that we send for internship, they end up being employed actually, because you bring someone to be employed by the host institutions. So for example, an institution will say we need an intern to work with the creator of our content, creator or whoever who's, for example, our web designer or a webmaster. If this student or this graduate is really good, in some cases we find institutions saying, actually, instead of hiring someone new, we've been with this intern for the last 6 months, we're extending an offer to him or to her. So that's really what I can mention. So the first real incentive is learning. There might be some financial benefits attached to the internship, but they are really low, they are not big. They are really geared at making sure that you could, the intern may access work easily and be able to do the actual internship.
True. I think at the Bridge Career Services, we have also seen it firsthand, how good internship is in terms of growing your CV as well. Let me just go on to the next question. I was saying the mining sector is one of the fastest growing sectors in Rwanda. What opportunities are available in the mining sector, both for investors and for job seekers?
Sure. Mining sector is it's one of the sectors that have been bringing in a lot of money when it comes to the exports. It's really a sector also which has got which requires advanced skills. If you talk of different value chain of the mining, we need geologists, we need engineers, we need those who will be helping us to add value to the minerals. So when it comes to the opportunities for investors, the more opportunities across the value chain of value addition. I'm sure some of you know this, but majority of countries have been exporting. If you talk of something like gold, they've been exporting gold without necessarily having done any value addition. So now some of the opportunities that are here, we have, for example, a gold refinery that started recently. We are attracting more investors to come and do the value addition. So you're talking about gold refinery, you're talking about smelting of the likes of tin or cassette lights. You are really talking about also value addition. If you talk about some precious stone like gemstone, how do you make sure that you get fine or finished goods in these minerals? So the opportunities are across value addition, where I talk about refinery for golds, where I talk about smelting for the likes of cassette lights, and also investors who will be willing to come in and set factories to manufacture finished good. As you might have had recently, for example, we had one of the recent investments that has started in Rwanda is a Marathon. They are manufacturing phones in Rwanda. So this is where you need the majority of the raw materials that come in from the minerals. So if you come in and you work with, for example, Marathon, and you say, let's say sourcing raw materials from a local miner, I come, I do the smelting, I make it in a way that I deliver immediately to someone who's producing phones, you see? So really the opportunities are close to the entire value chain. But of course, minerals, same as other commodities, in some cases, you definitely have fluctuations in the prices. If you look at what has been going on this year and last year, there was a major drop into the international prices. So that's why we encourage more addition as opposed to exporting the raw materials, because when you do the value addition and focus on semi-finished goods or finished goods, that's where you get a majority or a big chunk of the returns from these minerals.
Great, thanks. So I'll be moving on to the next one. I hope underscore Amy8 was answered with that. The next question was, as an economics graduate, what advice would you department at RDB? What skills would you be looking for?
Okay, the skills that we look for are mainly across the entire investment value chain. We look for different skills, but if I talk about investment analysis in particular, you're talking about everything around finance, economics, and some accounting, because we attract investors or investments. It's more of, there is a part of marketing where you identify an investment opportunity, you package it. If we're talking, for example, we've been talking about these opportunities in mining. The key question is, if I'm an investor, what do I need to listen so that I can come and invest in Rwanda? I need to be told, actually, the volumes that are there are this. I need to be told, actually, the cost of electricity is this. I need to be told, actually, the cost of transport is this. So there is really that part of analysis where we look at sector level and say, these are the numbers, these are the dynamics in the sector, and this is what we need to tell an investor who would want to come and invest here. So the first level of skills really is more of just analysis, economic analysis. Now, number two is also the ability even to tell a story, because, you know, an investor will need to be convinced. The key question is, you know, why do I invest in Rwanda and I don't invest, let's say, in Ethiopia? Why do I bring my investments in Kigali and I don't take it to Nairobi? So there is also another aspect of really telling this story to the investor. And then there is also another part which comes when we are dealing with implementation. We deal with different stakeholders. You can come to start your investments, and tomorrow you need to speak to, let's say, Rwanda Energy Group or other stakeholders. If there is an issue, in some cases we jump in, we do advocacy on behalf of investors. So there is also that ability of doing an aftercare so that we can facilitate investors to implement the project. So if someone wants to join our departments, it's, you know, the skills are really around those areas that I mentioned. It's around finance, it's around economics, it's around even international relations, it's around international development. But the way we've really been doing it, we open, you know, we post on either our website or through other platforms of at our ministry, which is in charge of labor. And also we work with partners like Bridge to Rwanda to even say, do you even have CVs of students or graduates who are interested? So that if we have something, we launch a call for application. Or if we someone who is interested also, they write it to us and they say, I probably like what you do. Is there any slot for internship? Depending with the slot that is there, we also able to host those who are interested to work with the Rwanda Development Board.
Great, thanks. I actually think you answered part of the next question, Igor_Jabiro. You were saying, hello, I'd like to ask how you help students get internships. Yes, that was basically his question. For Igor, I'll also leave an email in the comment section below on how you can reach the Bridge Career Services as well, so we can help you in terms of finding job placements and highlights. Let me just look at the next question. They were saying, how do you see technology, especially artificial intelligence, growing in Rwanda? What do you think it will create jobs for, in terms of Rwandans in diaspora?
Yeah, you know, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, you know, these are really fields that are growing, which companies are leveraging to make decisions quickly. So Rwanda also is one of the countries that are really, you know, leveraging that. The first thing, as I mentioned before, was making sure that we even have right infrastructure, because if you talk about artificial intelligence, you're basically talking about having a machine. It performs some of the tasks that human beings we are performing. So it's not really coming in to replace human beings, but it's more of coming in to even bring efficiency and also increase productivity that human beings have been having. So it's really one of the areas that some of the investors are tapping into. If some of you quite recently in partnership with one of the companies currently based in the UK, which has been providing e-health services. This company is called Babylon or Babil. So all of these are geared at saying, given all of the investments that the government of Rwanda has made as far as ICT is concerned, how do we leverage that to make sure that we have we keep having strong infrastructure. As we speak now, companies are able to host all of their data here. We have powerful servers. So all of these are geared at making sure that if you want to do all of these massive operations using machine learnings or using certain pattern recognition or to perform some task with artificial intelligence, you are able to do that. So it's really one of the green fields, but the future of it is, has a strong foundation. We have some companies, as I mentioned, that have started coming in. And we also welcome more companies that would want to do this. There are more that are not only doing data analysis, but also even looking at the patterns of their clients. For example, we have this mobile money. If you use mobile money and you look at the consumption patterns of your clients, you can leverage and design several products. You can even be able to do credit rating. You can see their consumption patterns. You can develop several solutions from this. So it's really artificial intelligence. I just tackled it along with the other IT-related solutions. Artificial intelligence, big data, machine learnings. These are the areas that are really growing. What we are doing as government is creating a conducive environment, making sure that we have, universities like, the University of Rwanda, Carnegie Mellon, and other major key institutions keep investing in them so that we have more people graduating in this. And then they supplement the work that we are doing, they supplement the work that key other government agencies and the private sector are doing, and then the productivity and the production.
We lost you for a bit on that last part, but I think his question was answered. I think this brings us to the end of our interview. It has been such a great interview, and on behalf of the Bridge Career Services, we'd like to thank you, Mr. Zephanie, for joining us this evening. We hope to keep in touch and get our main target of bringing people back to Rwanda to really be part of this development. I just wanted to remind the viewers that this was part 2 of the series called The Bridge Meets. We'll be meeting next week. That's in the agriculture sector, dealing in horticulture. It will be an interesting interview, so make sure you tune in. Yes, Mr. Zephanie, this is why I say good night. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Bridge to Rwanda for having organized this.
The Bridge Career Services,
and we saw it exactly. Bridge Career Services. We saw happy that you've been encouraging talent abroad to come back and work and continue to contribute in the development of their country, and I'm so happy to be part of this conversation. Good evening.
Have a good night.